Welcome to episode 4 of the Makai Sentai podcast. Joining me for this episode is Nick. Nick, would you introduce yourself, please?
Right, so I'm probably better known as Akatsuki Red Cloud on YouTube, but thanks for having me on.
Oh yeah, no problem. So you are a content creator. Can you tell me what kind of content have you created on your channel? Like, what's your angle?
So it is Disgaea RPG content. Obviously, it's mostly what I tend to do is new unit reviews. So I look at the fandom wiki and then just give them a review, give them a little breakdown, or I'll do sort of guides for the harder content in the game, that sort of thing. Just look how to make it easier for people, or just look how easy it is for Callidia to beat it.
And what kind of how receptive or is YouTube to that kind of content? Like, what kind of viewers do you get? Do you get really invested players, or do you get casual players with your audience?
I think because I'm still quite new, I haven't got like a massive subscriber count as it is. But the community that is starting to build is, you do seem to notice the same people commenting, which is quite nice, which is what I wanted to begin with. So it's sort of building like a small community. They're more dedicated fans, because some of the knowledge they come back at me with is it's very in depth, and it's they probably know sometimes a bit more than I do.
Yeah. So how new are you to the game then? Did you start whenever you started your channel and streaming and your YouTube stuff? Did you start at that point, or did you play before that and then decide to do the YouTube? So
I started RPG, I think about the end of week 2, and then I started doing the YouTube. Then? Yes, it's quite early, but the YouTube stuff I started that I think June properly, because I tried doing some other games as well before I started Disgaea, and just for like fun really, because I've never done it before. I thought I'd just give it a go, see what happens. I just started doing rubbish Fortnite compilations to begin with, which were awful, and then I tried doing some Dokkan battle stuff, which again was awful because I didn't know what I was doing. I was trying, instead of talking on it, I was doing typed word reviews of some units on there, which doesn't go well on YouTube.
That's a novel approach, though. Typed words on YouTube.
It was awful. I mean, I've kept the videos on my YouTube, so I thought I don't want to delete them. I want to see the progress in the future of how bad it was to begin with, and then it's got better now in the future. Well, to me anyway.
Oh, absolutely. I don't mind uploading older material of my own, just keeping it there, because it's a badge of honor and shame at the same time to look back on your own earlier progress, for sure. Oh,
it's definitely shame, some of it. It's terrible.
So how do you feel the community has come forward at this point in the game's lifespan since you've been there since the start? Have you been aware then? Have you seen the ups and downs in the community? Like, how closely did you follow the community whenever you started playing the game?
Discord wise, that's where I think that the big community wise is, and where like the controversies happen, or like I talked about more. I wasn't on Discord until probably late June, so I've missed quite a lot of the early stuff. So the Tyrant Valvatores, where his summoning issue was, I missed that completely pretty much. I was just in game by myself, doing my own little thing, oblivious to what was going on around me. But it wasn't until, I would say, probably close to before or roughly towards Rosalind is where I started paying attention on Discord and Reddit, that sort of thing. So I missed a fair bit.
So what's your take then on the sort of overview of the game since launch, the ups and downs? Do you think the game's in a good place at the moment?
It's in a better place. I don't know if I'd say good as in perfect. I think they're sort of getting to grip that we're not happy with certain things that happen on the newer server, the TC, the server, I can't think what it's properly called.
Oh, the CN server?
Yes, that one, yeah. I don't think people are happy about the pity sort of thing they had going on there. I know that was
for sure.
Very sorely received on our end. But then, for me, the way that Bold Trend only seemed to talk to us retrospectively. They don't seem to tell us before we get annoyed. That's my only sort of. That's my downside with Bolt Trend.
They're reactive rather than proactive, you're saying?
Exactly, yeah.
I think that's a pretty fair criticism. They do tend to react after the fact. We find something we're not happy with, we complain, they apologize, life goes on, essentially. Yeah,
which is fine. But I wouldn't mind if they did like a monthly update, because they do that newsletter thing where they told us that they are going to implement the pity system quicker. But they could have just done sort of an update of what they were planning to do anyway before that. That would have been nice on my end, I think.
Yeah, I think that's also a fair criticism. A lot of the problems on Bolt Red's end, I believe, have been like self-inflicted injuries, essentially, because it's a lot to do with how they communicate, or should I say, how they don't communicate. That's a problem sometimes, and I think there's a number of reasons why that is that we can point to. But I think it's fair to say that we would agree that their communication remains to be a big problem that they're constantly stumbling over themselves with.
Yeah, it is poor. It's something they definitely should improve on, because the game, for me, it's a solid game. It has its hiccups, but I tend to look over hiccup, because if I'm joining the game anyway, it doesn't really bother me. They try implement new things, treasure hunt, that sort of thing. They try.
But yeah, it's just for sure they try.
They try, but just something. It's not, the communication is poor, and I guess that is because it is not set in an English-speaking country. That's my understanding.
Well, here's a question. Do you think Bolt Red has a dedicated community manager? Because, like, would a community manager manage a community in this way?
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't know if they would. You'd like to think they would have someone who would be a good go-between between English speakers and their native tongue.
Yeah, a community manager for the global region would make a lot of sense.
So that there isn't one of them at the minute? I don't know if there is or not.
Have you spoken to one?
I don't speak to a lot of people, so I don't know.
Yeah, exactly the point. No, I haven't seen one around.
No.
A community manager will be a very visible position, and I've yet to see anyone be the voice for the publisher at all.
Well, yeah, definitely not publicly, because I know we've got, say, the senior mods on the Discord. They're quite vocal. They do talk in the general chat.
The senior mods on Discord are players like me and you. They have extra responsibilities because they volunteer to do so. They're not paid employees. They're not devs themselves specifically. You know what I mean? So there's a very fine line between what you could take to a Discord moderator versus the things you would want. You want a representative of the devs to speak on their behalf, kind of, on some issues, and they have that sort of immediacy whenever things go south, and they do go south sometimes. It'd be nice having that sort of soft official hand that can speak to us, as it were, whenever things go down that way.
Yeah, I think that would be one of my criticisms of it, because that is just Discord. I'd like to see one that's on the Facebook, on the Reddit as well, because they're the other two bigger groups, and there's just nothing on there other than...
They are on Facebook. Like, I actually have seen them post on Facebook and post updates and responses officially on there.
But so again, they're always the retrospective ones.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
100% retrospective. Yeah, absolutely.
But like you said, that like a community manager, that a go-between, I'd like to see that beforehand. And always in communication with everyone, but there doesn't seem to be that sort of thing going on.
Well, there's a core reason why you wouldn't have a community manager. That's because they just can't afford one or don't want one. You know what I mean? Like, it would make all the sense. They have someone there. They sort of unify everyone and to make sure the whole marketing thing touches that community and targets them. But I don't know. It's weird for a game, especially outside of mobile development. It's weird for there not to be that sort of liaison. That's our outreach. You know what I mean? It's unusual whenever you expect, and you would definitely expect a game like this to have a community, and it's demonstratable the Discord, at least, that there is that audience there that wants and is receptive to being spoken to, essentially, and being responded to. Because I know they definitely have good customer service, pretty attentive. Maybe not English speaking natively, but definitely attentive.
Yes, yeah, I'd agree to that. Because on anything I've seen, there is the vocality of the community. There is quite a big voice there. Maybe not as big as when we first started because of the issues. It sort of did drop off a little bit, but there's definitely an audience there to be receptive to it.
I was speaking to Hazing, and he's pretty honest and upfront about the audience numbers on his channel and the sort of trends he's been seeing. So what kind of trends have you been seeing on your own channel with your own content? Has it been upwards, downwards, neutral? Like, how has it been since you started?
So for my channel, because it was new, I think it's just upwards for me. I haven't really seen a downward trend because I didn't start with an upward spike. What
you're demonstrating, I think, is the lack and loss of the bigger coverage in the community. For anyone starting off, I think that would benefit someone needing an audience, because whenever those bigger community people leave, they take most of their audience with them, but there's still a small core people left behind, and they would naturally gravitate to who's remaining. And I think it's awesome that despite the downwards trend, that you're still able to see some growth for yourself. You're still able to find a niche in that pool, essentially.
Yeah, I think that benefits me more than anything, because there's not so many big fish to fight with. It's easier for me to get, even if it's just smaller numbers, it's easier for me to get some people to come in, because there is only, say currently there is only Hazing, the big English speaking one. I know we've got a fairly big Spanish speaking one, that's Zacko87, but I don't think he does so much Disgaea now as he does other gacha games as well. Yeah. But unfortunately, sadly, we lost gacha recently, which was awful news. But he was our second biggest, I would say, for English speaking.
Yeah, and then I think he would have been.
Below him, I think all the others left 2 or 3 months back.
Because I remember I had Nix, I think, on the show. He was very fresh to the game at the time. And I'm pretty sure by the time I was recording the last episode, he wasn't as active in the community at that point.
Yeah, I think he was, when I first joined the creator content chat on the Discord, I think he was just there, say at the start of June. But from then on, I don't think I've ever seen anything really at all from him.
I'm sitting here wondering to myself, will you be gone by the next episode? It's like, come on, people, just stay.
I'll try to stay. Depending how my summons go for the 7 Deadly Sin units, I'll stay or I'll go.
I know, right? Every time there's a big event, it's like, no, I have to do well here, otherwise it's all over. Yeah, absolutely. Actually, well, here's a wee question then. Like, when it comes to your content, like, what do you think about when you're making content? Like, who are you making content for? Are you making content that you find interesting for yourself? Or are you making content that you think there's an audience out there that needs to hear it? Like, how do you go about it? Like, what's your process?
I'd say a bit of both, but mostly me, selfishly. I think in real life, there's no one who plays that I know the sort of games that I play. So my partner, she has no interest in it. She laughs at me when I bring it up. My friends play more mainstream games in real life, so they'll be playing FIFA, Fortnite, Modern Warfare, that sort of thing. I call it a bit more of a geekier game, Disgaea, compared to the mainstream, or a bit more niche. No one else talks about it that I know, so I thought I'll just talk to myself about it. I'll talk to a camera, see how that goes, and then if people want to talk back to me as well, that's one way to do it. One way to build some sort of community for a game I like to play.
Oh, that's interesting. So are you saying then that you're doing it like much more organically? You're discovering the game and playing through it, and you're trying to share that experience with other people and bring your content about that way?
To a point, yes. So not so much as like a vlog experience sort of thing, because it is mostly just reviews and looking at content in the game. But I'd say just because this is Disgaea RPG is my first Disgaea experience, so I'd come into Disgaea, the world itself, fresh. I'd never played anything previous to this before. I'd heard of it, but I'd never played it or experienced it. So this is fresh eyes for me. There's no loyalties to characters really. It's just I've picked the game up. I'm finding characters I like and characters I don't like already, as people do. Yeah. Just give my thoughts on that sort of way.
I've noticed as well that you've made a wide variety of content. You've done unit reviews, you do news, you've even done a podcast. So what's your favorite type of content to make? And what do you think your audience wants you to make?
I think currently my favorite content is mostly challenging the harder content. But the issue with them sort of ones is they only release that very sporadically. And once you've beaten it once, you can't really do any more content on it again. But that's the sort of thing I do enjoy the most. I did quite enjoy doing the podcast, speaking to different people who had very vast knowledge. So I've spoken to Orimo, who's a big fan of the series. He's a big fan of Makai Kingdom as well, and he had a very in-depth knowledge, so he's been telling me about the past of it as well. So it's nice hearing about other people's views on it as well, which I quite liked.
Yeah. And what do you think your audience wants from you? Like, what kind of content do you think you need to make them happy?
Oh, if I'm being honest, I wouldn't have a clue. I don't think it's healthy to make content to make other people happy. If I'm making content that makes me happy, I think that's the better way to go about it.
So do you feel any pressure from the algorithm?
No pressure. No, it's just fun for me. If I found doing YouTube stressful, I wouldn't do it at all. It's only it's a sort of a side project because I've got a full-time job as it is. I've got a family, time constraints. It's just, I mean, as you know, when we were trying to book an appointment for me just to do this podcast, I give you 3 days out of 2 weeks. Those 3 days are when I'd record a video or two and upload it over the next week. So it's just fun for me. It's nothing more than that, really.
So that's how you approach your content then. It's not a full-time gig. It's one of those spare time hobbies or approaches. Yeah,
I'd say because the Sins, I knew that in a 2 or 3 week period I had to record, or not. I didn't have to. I wanted to review all the units, and so that was 9 new units. Plus there was more content I wanted to do, and I had to record or pre-record, I think, 13 videos over 3 nights, and that's when it got a bit draining.
That's a lot of videos to make, and oh my god, there's not enough Red Bull in the world to power you through that.
But it was only raw footage, so I recorded them all on the night, and over the next 2 weeks, so I probably did it 2 weeks ago now, over the next 2 weeks I just slowly edited one a night. But I don't think I could do that constantly. I knew that was a one-off, so I was happy to do it then. But then I'd say now until the end of October, there's only going to be a few days that I can do some recording, and I'll be happy doing that because that'll just be fun again.
Yeah, so do you think the 7 Deadly Sins has exhausted you a bit then, trying to cover everything?
I don't know if I'd say exhausted. It was mentally draining on the night. I could really tell when I got to say that the 4th or 5th video of the night, I was like really struggling to get my words out. The amount of edits there was more edits to do in the videos compared to what I'd do on normal, just one video.
It would definitely affect your ability to actually make the videos if you're making that much so quick.
Yeah, I think even like the accuracy of sometimes. I know I messed up on one of them where I said that the spear gave a resistance stat where it doesn't. Yeah. But I was like, oh well. As I said, it's only a bit of fun. If I was misinforming people constantly on a serious issue, then I'd be concerned. But it's a nice little game we play. It's a bit of fun. If anyone got too concerned over one stat being misread, it doesn't really bother me too much.
Yeah, because you know there's going to be people on the internet who are always going to be happy to correct you. Oh, you got a word wrong? Oh, you got a stat wrong? Oh, you got a number wrong? I'm sorry. Like, that's serious business. You must go back and re-edit luckily that video.
Yeah, luckily there's been no angry people about it. If one person did correct it, and I thought, oh crap, I did get it wrong, didn't I? So in my head I thought, did I get it wrong? Oh, I did get it wrong. What an idiot. Why did I not double check that first of all? But they were happy enough because they did a nice comment and they just did like a correctful comment as well. And I thought, that's fine. It's not having a go or anything. It's just pointing out that you got the wrong stat there.
Yeah. Obviously, it all depends as well how your audience reacts. If your audience aren't calling for your head on a platter over the issue, I think. You know what I mean? As long as it's never
pike,
yeah, as long as it's never the nuclear option, I think you're safe. You know what I mean? It's like you can learn, you can grow, you can just. I seen some people what they would do. They would pin comments that would correct them under their videos rather than re-edit the videos or add the people do timestamps for corrections. Like there's all kinds of stuff. People really really care about it. It's like. Like I know my own videos I put up on the Makai channel. I know some of them aren't perfect, but you know what? I decided this is how I can get them done. This is how I can get the content out there, and I'm very open about learning along the way because I have never even used Audacity before I started doing this. I just pressed the record button when someone else told me to, and then saved the file and sent it to them. So. It's been a learning process along the way, and I'm very open about mistakes. You know what I mean? I think there's nothing wrong with showing people that you're more than capable of making them, because I'm not a big fan of presenting this perfect facade and a perfectly polished edited product all the time. I think there needs to be space for the human element. We're not trying to sell a product here. You know what I mean? We're just fans playing a game that we're all big fans of, so I don't feel that pressure myself, to be honest.
But that's definitely the best way to go about it. At the moment you start feeling the pressure, the moment you're going to slip up even more, I'm sure that's what would happen.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're a perfectionist, like there's definitely people out there that wouldn't do something unless it was 100% correct in every instance, and I feel nothing but sympathy for those people.
I did learn one thing from recording all those sin units. I made a mistake. Well, I say a mistake because I do the reviews directly off the fandom wiki. There was with the Devil Elizabeth and the Princess Etna. Yeah. There wasn't any previous or the pre-buff abilities weren't on there, and I didn't realize that. So I just read them out thinking, these are the global ones. There's me telling people that these awesome abilities are what we're going to be getting next week, but they're not. So I did put a disclaimer video for that one. But I will now check if there's any future buff units. I'm going to be checking all the Japan sources to make sure they are correct.
Oh, that's fair, and that's definitely a mistake. It's the easy mistake to make if you're using the wiki there, because they were pretty awesome getting that updated. Because people are very excited about Sins. I don't think people were expecting JP to rerun it in the way that they did just before we got our first run of it. So it definitely caught people unawares. So no, it's a thing. They happened to be a slight mistake, but it's awesome that you put out a disclaimer video. At least acknowledged it. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I need to put something out there. You can't let people think this is what you're going to be getting. So I thought I had put. I did, like you said, I did a disclaimer comment. I changed the description. I haven't got time to change the video, or because again it was over a week ago. I haven't got time to put a new video out, so I just need to do something to let people know, at least anyway.
Well, here's a wee question for you. It's definitely been a hot thing in the community recently. So I want to get your retake on the old macro situation.
Ooh.
Now, if you're not familiar with the macro situation and the game, people have been using macros to basically automate certain processes in the game, usually to do with world grinding and repeating stages looking for the old legendary chest rooms in particular. So that's what's been going on. And recently, the ability for macro users to get this set up has been made a lot easier. And it was brought up in the official Discord, and the mods basically acknowledged as long as it doesn't break the game, it doesn't interfere with the game's code, it's an accessibility issue, and therefore it's kosher. So, as you can imagine, that's essentially a green light to the community. Go nuts. And go nuts the community has. There's been a lot of discussion recently from people. I think like 90% of the discussion has been from people either asking how to set it up, or the other 9% has been probably, oh, I haven't got my drop yet. Oh, I got this drop. Look at my drop. I got a drop. And maybe 1% other, like 1% of like other people just mentioning it. And to be honest, I'm pretty sick of it. I don't want to see another 20 flipping replies to people trying to set up the damn thing, and then people posting it or complaining more. Like it's the complaining that they don't get enough legendary drops a day or something. It's like, oh, come on. Like, come on. Like, just shut up and just be happy, essentially. You're getting really, really awesome stuff with no effort, and you're still finding a way to be miserable. Like, come on.
So publicly on my publicly on my channel, I have never mentioned them, because when I was first talking about them on the Discord channel, there was mention of terms of service issues, and then someone put a screenshot of the terms of service saying that Bolt Trend put a very, I wouldn't say sneaky, but they put a very vague meaning of what cheating could be. And it said something like the wording of anything that replicates a touch on your screen was classed as cheating. I did not know that they'd greenlit it, the mods wise on Discord, saying about the code breaking sort of thing. I didn't know that. Macro wise, if the legendary chests were not stupidly low percentage, then there wouldn't be a need for macros, I don't think. But because it's 0.3%, I think macros are fair game.
Well, they've got a bonus event running right now where they've supposedly increased
to a whole 0.6% if it's double rate.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Double rate, man. It's like, how can you see that? And the thing is, we don't even know. Like, apparently the community's been collecting data. I forget the person offhand, but there's one or two folks that have been collating other people's data, put it in one place, and have presented it to Bolt Trend as please explain. This data doesn't show increased drop rarity. They said there's a bug in the game at the moment that stops the display of the increased rarity and the event from happening, and it's still in effect. But the community is gathering data at this point that's indicating that may not be the case.
I mean, seriously, how much data would you need for a 0.6% drop rate?
Unfortunately,
you would need thousands. Yes. You would need thousands of runs.
Yes. Well, the thing is, with macros, you're getting thousands of runs. Right? That's the thing. We're able to get the data very slowly, but they're saying that the early trends that they're looking at looks like it doesn't look like there's much going on. My belief in the system is incredibly thin. Maybe it's not on. Maybe the bug is bigger than just a display issue.
I mean, if it's not on and you're using a macro anyway, I don't think you have any room to complain.
I know, right? That's the thing. If you're using a macro,
I do use macros for item weld for legendaries. I mean, I don't boast about it in the chat. The person who set me up like a couple of months ago for it, and I spoke to them privately, so I didn't go in the chat. I didn't really try and say I'm doing macros. Get on the macros. It was more, I think Azriel on the Discord. He helped me set it up. He spent a good hour and a half setting me up initially before he did his He's got one of the shoppers at the minute on the Macroify app.
He's one of the official devs for one of the macros on that service. Yeah.
Which does me brilliant. It serves me greatly. I do enjoy that macro, especially for the legendary farming.
Yeah, my concern with macros is it's not that I have anything against using them. Like, if you want to play the game anyway, you want to play the game. That's fair to lose. It's not a competitive game by any means, and I honestly believe like the impact they're going to have and they are having is that I'm worried that it will become like the way you have to play the game. I wouldn't want a new user to come into the game and then feel like, I can't keep up with other people. Like, they're getting all this stuff and I can't do that unless I need to use a macro. And that's going to be like a real thing for new players coming in. They'll not know about macros because you wouldn't know about them. Like, they're not in the game. It's not a part of the game itself. And they'll have unrealistic expectations from not knowing. Like, there's an extra step that you have to take to get caught up to everyone else, and that I'm not sure that's healthy for the game.
No, I could see that being an issue, but I do think that the rate is awful, that there shouldn't be a need for macros to enjoy a game. And for how grindy Disgaea RPG already is, they could at least just bump that rate up to, say, 3% for Legendary, maybe 7% for a Rare, and the rest would be common. I still think that would be fairly fair. But 0.3, just to get some extra stats on a game that, as you say, it's not competitive, other than getting the top raid numbers. There's nothing else that needs to be competitive. It's just solo player fun. It shouldn't be that low for me.
Yeah, the problem is that I think once you have macros and once people are accustomed to using them, they're not going to stop. If they increase the rates now, people are just going to go, well, my macro now gets me 10 times more rather than it did before. And we just keep macroing. So you're not going to stop using the macro if you're already using it. So I think if you bump the rates up, it's not going to reverse the trend.
No, I don't think it wouldn't reverse it. Definitely wouldn't reverse it. No, you're right there. I don't think it should have been from the beginning. I think they should have realised that from Japan, well, if that was a thing, I assume macros would be a thing in JP as well. But you'd have thought they'd have realised that.
I've never heard anything from JP players.
Have you not? Oh.
Before this? No. Before Global started blowing up with them.
Before Sneaky Global got involved.
Yeah, I wasn't aware, and even looking at JP for the past few months, like I don't really see any of the JP players mention them at all much.
So maybe they're a bit more of an accepting bunch, whereas we don't accept from 0.3%. We get a bit of how can we cheat the system here without cheating?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's definitely it's reflective of the different expectations of different players. I think people on Global definitely have different expectations for the game than JP players may have. Like that, it seems like we would naturally have different expectations. Like JP's all first. They're the true guinea pigs. You know what I mean? Like whenever you think about the problems Global's had, JP kind of did have a bumpier ride to get to where it is. And our rule is bumpy still. And the reason why we're outraged is it didn't have to be this bumpy. You know what I mean? So, I don't know.
So have you played JP from early on?
No. I played JP a few times. Came out just to see the game, actually. I was like, okay, I want to see this. Didn't play it seriously until after Global launched. And I'm one of those kinds of people that likes to play all the content and see all the stuff and not wait. And whenever I could see new stuff, I want to see new stuff. I didn't want to have to wait like a year to catch up and play with pre-A and stuff like that. So I re-roll a few JP accounts and didn't get really far with it, and then just said screw it and settled on whatever my phone gave me. And it gave me not the best start, to be honest, but I was like, no, this is how you play the game, RNG. So I'll just settle with what I have, and I'll maybe just be a free to play player, and that's what I've been doing for the past couple of months. So it's allowed me to appreciate upcoming content to the game because I'm a global player primarily. That's where I'll spend my money essentially. But JP is where I get to have fun. I got to play with Makai Kingdom characters on JP. Like that was amazing. So I get to play two versions of the game as well, and I have something to compare from. And I don't feel the pressure on JP when it comes to pulls, because anything I miss on JP, you will not miss on Global for sure. Because I have a year plus of planning to anticipate. You know what I mean? So there's benefits, I think, just from enjoying JP as a casual free to play player, like without spending any money and just having like a little backup curiosity window to indulge in.
Which I think is where I would struggle. I think if I played JP and I was enjoying the new characters, I wouldn't be excited for them on Global, and I'd probably put Global down then. I'm sure that's how I'd go about it. I'd end up just Global JP main, leave my Global alone because of JP has that really easy farming, don't they, for like the daily gems and HL?
Yeah, they have so many additional quality of life updates. Like we just received the biggest update ever on Global, and we're like almost caught up to the JP client, but they are still quite a bit ahead on a number of really, really good quality of life updates. And they're really far out originally on the release calendar. So I'm hoping, one of the things I'm hoping for Global is to see more of those quality of life updates happening earlier. Intentional or not, rank 40 weapons and armor say hello. I'm happy for all that stuff to come earlier.
Oh, I was happy to hear about that.
Yeah, in any shape or form, regardless of their intentions, if it just happens to be available early, I'll not complain.
Yeah. Oh, that's a little glitch. Oh well, just give it to them. Let them have it.
I know, right? I honestly think that was the best way they could have resolved the situation. Like, they were wanting to give us the original block, essentially. And whenever they couldn't figure a way of getting it to work, or there was a bug with it, whatever the solution was just giving us the damn thing at the best rank possible in the game.
Yeah, so they must have got 12 hours into that maintenance and thought, oh crap, we cannot figure this out. It's the weekend soon. Just give it to them. I want to go home, yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure it out later. Yeah, we might have to increase the difficulty of content artificially beyond our original intentions at some undisclosed period down the line. But you know what? I can go home now and get some sleep. Would you fault them if they made that choice? Honestly, like, I wouldn't fault them at all.
No, they're just employees. Like, if it's my day job and it's going to get me home quicker, I'm all for it.
Well, I just mean, considering like the number of issues we had, like getting over to that new version of the game with the Asagi was really important, and getting that new version to us was a bumpy ride. We missed out on a raid. We've missed out, actually, I think 2 raids we've missed out on technically at this point. You know what I mean? Like, we're quite behind on the old economy. And I think we're feeling the effects of that skip already, and the sort of issues. Remember the sort of really buggy window of opportunity there was when the new version came out, and it was a bit not fun with the weapon bug in particular, causing a lot of not fun times for people. Yeah,
that is a slight issue, but if it's going to mean we're going to get up to speed quicker, especially the quality of life update, if there's a few bumps in the road but we get them quicker, I'm more than happy for that.
Yeah, if you think about it, like we're going to have pity in a couple of days' time,
which is brilliant. I cannot wait.
It's insane to think about this, the speed. Now, I know Bullet Red did get a lot of criticism for experimenting with it a month ago on the Chinese language version, but when we consider like the speed of the original sort of development, we're definitely getting an accelerated release. You know what I mean? We're getting, like, even the 7 Deadly Sins, we're getting that 3 months earlier than the comparative schedule on JP originally.
Yeah, so there should be 2 story events between now and 7 Deadly Sins I was looking at today.
Yeah.
And we're getting pity 6 months early compared to JP.
Yeah. So we're getting better rates, changed rates, we're getting pity early, we're getting quality of life updates early, we're getting level caps earlier. Like, the amount of stuff we're getting earlier is nice. And I think it's very, very underappreciated, really.
Yeah, I think that is probably the right word, underappreciated. I don't think that it would be as underappreciated if that Chinese server wasn't there.
I know, right?
If that didn't happen and people didn't realise that there was a pity elsewhere and they just bumped up these, I think everyone would be thanking Boltrend very sincerely.
And maybe instead of dumping out a roadmap, maybe just talk to the audience, talk to players. Tell us in human terms what your plans are, what the intentions are. You don't have to put everything on the roadmap. You don't have to give us solid dates 1 month in advance every time. You can just talk to us like humans. Tell us the grand plans. Tell us the important bits. You don't have to commit the dates that far in advance. Like, we trust you. We know it's going to come. If you say it's going to come in on a month, we'll just trust you. You can sort it out and figure it out what makes sense to you. Like, give yourself that opportunity, essentially, Bullet Red, for fuck's sake. Trust us. We're very understanding.
For me, as a content creator, I love the roadmap. It gives me a perfect opportunity to plan when I can and what I'm going to record on certain days. So for me, it's perfect. I wouldn't mind. I don't mind that they're doing that a month in advance, but maybe a side letter.
Would you take having the roadmap removed? Right. If I give you this bargain, take the roadmap away from you, so you no longer get that fixed roadmap, but you get more QA time for releases. You get more focus because they can just shift the dates about by a couple of days, and you'll not know any difference. So nothing will be delayed for you. It'll just come out whenever it comes out. And it'll be slightly better. They'll have more chance to polish it up, more chance to catch bugs, more flexibility to handle a very obviously not best part of what they're doing. You know what I mean?
For gameplay, 100%. For gameplay and the whole experience in the game, I'd be happy with that. But for creating YouTube content, no. I need that roadmap. Give me that roadmap.
Yeah, no, that's fair. As a content creator, you're allowed to be selfish, and that makes complete sense. Roadmaps make all the sense in the world whenever your own life is dictated by a schedule and you're trying to slot things in. So I'm not going to criticize you for that one.
but I mean, for the general health of the game, yeah, it would be healthier if they just did it as and when they needed it, and they just give us a quick update. In the next week, we're going to be doing this. Hopefully it goes well.
Yeah, maybe then once a month a bigger update where they just tell us, well, our grand plans for next month is X, Y, and Z, and maybe a big tease for something that's coming on slightly longer down the line. You know what I mean? It's just a little weekly sort of human. You don't need to pretend to be a prinny and dress it up like you're speaking from the netherworld. For fuck's sake, just stick some human words into a paragraph and throw it out. It's not that difficult.
Yeah, just give us some real words. We'd be very happy with that. I'm sure we would.
Yeah, I do think they're trying. Like, they have this whole faceless business thing going where they do the old JPEG statements. You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely a choice. I'm not sure it's the sort of choice that the global audience needs from them.
Yeah, I can't pick the word for it, but is that they've created this character for themselves. They're not deviating from it at all. We're going to stick to it.
Actually, there's one thing I really miss, and it's because I've gotten into the JP side of things and had a good look around, right? And one of the things that I've noticed, I've been trawling the YouTubes. I wanted to look at the original Disgaea release and all the ups and downs of it. And one of the things I noticed is that on the Forward Works, the official dev YouTube channel, going all the way back, they've been doing web streams where the devs themselves will come out, the people who make the fucking game, and sometimes they'll bring in guesting voice actors and stuff, and they'll just talk about the content. They'll talk about making it. They'll preview upcoming stuff. They'll talk about how they made different decisions for the art, the different decisions for the gameplay. It's awesome, and I really think we're missing out as an audience for this content that's just sitting there.
Yeah, that is something that especially the Bold Trend YouTube channel itself would definitely benefit from. At the minute, that is just the most boring YouTube channel I think I've ever seen. It is, we're releasing this character next week, here's an animation, move on, we'll see you again next month.
Yeah, the thing is, there is one element that we can't get from that. We can't get the live reactions. They would answer questions from the fans and stuff, so that's an element in that package that we would obviously miss out on because it would be retrospective, old videos recorded from past streams or whatever. I just think just maybe using that kind of content as a jumping off point. You know what I mean? Just throw some subs on there. I'm sure there's a translator or two that would be more than happy to...
We've seen their translations in the game. They're not always the greatest, yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about really, really good translators that would be more than happy to do a fantastic job. I swear by Jin, by the way. Jin is too good for this game and too good for us when it comes to translations. But no, I'm just saying, there's a huge amount of content that they could very cheaply put to better use. You know what I mean? They could deliver that stuff to us. We could learn more about the game, see the sort of behind the scenes, and then use that as the jumping off point. Get their own global community manager basically to sort of frame that themselves. You know what I mean? To be that voice, just to give us something to rally around, a more human side. Because I'm sick of talking to fucking pennies. Damn it.
Yeah, I think that would be appreciated. I think the community would feel more appreciate if they were speaking to an actual person as well. So if they just did one live stream with this global community manager, I think people would love that. I mean, there'd be maybe some flack and abuse given to that person, which maybe is the reason why they're not doing it, because they know that person might receive a lot of negativity, and that's a lot for one person to take. But there would still be the happy people that would want to see this, and the true Disgaea fans that would enjoy that interaction with them. I'm sure there would be.
Yeah, but even if the community manager doesn't want to be brave enough to step in front of a live stream, that'd be intimidating to affect anybody. But even if they wanted to just be the face, just be the voice, like, I think we just need that personable side to the publisher. Like we don't need a blank wall of corporate JPEGs. You know what I mean? We need someone who's as personable as the moderators are. Like I know the moderators briefly from talking to them on there, and they all seem to be nice folks. They all seem to be very personable and human. And I'm sure
I've had no issues with the mod so far at all.
Yeah, and I'm sure the people at Bulletrend are just as equally human, you know? So, you pretend, you can just come out and just be normal. I think the language barrier, however, is what's going to get in the way. I wouldn't feel confident jumping onto a Discord with players hungry for my game if I didn't natively speak their tongue. It's very hard to keep up, you know what I mean? So I think we just need to put someone in there who can just do that shit and get it done and make people happy. And happy people are spendy people. You know what I mean? That's how it works, isn't it? I believe.
Yeah, revenue surely would go up. Yeah, and that is the main goal. That's the goal of the game, is for them to get revenue. Surely, so keep us happy, and we'll spend money.
Yeah, exactly. If at the end of the day the business doesn't care about our happiness, the business only cares when the numbers go up. The side effect is people are happy with the game and the game's better overall. That means we all win. They get their numbers, we get the better game. You know, let's try and aim for that.
That is the ultimate goal. It's just our pipe dream now. I think I can't see anything ever happening like that before the game just goes into a pit of demise eventually.
Yeah. I think we have an audience there that wants it. It's whether or not they're able to give it to them. You know what I mean? I think the longer they stay a faceless corporate JPEG, the more these issues will stick with them. Because I think just having a person there can what do I call it? Diffuse the situation, diffuse some of the hotter situations from blowing up, and give a deeper understanding sometimes, or more human understanding of when problems go wrong. You know what I mean? I just think that they need that. You know what I mean? I think because of the mistakes, and I think it's fair to say they've made more than a few mistakes along the way. I think to instill that confidence in their community in particular, they would be better off finding a way to achieve it.
Oh, for sure. They had the was it the Q&A JPEG they put out maybe last month, the month before that, where people sent in a load of questions, didn't they? And they answered them very, very generically. It was like watching a load of politicians just beat around the bush and not answer the question with the answer we actually wanted. It was, yes, we'll get to it at some point, I'm sure, but when? Who knows? But we are aware of the issue.
They give you an example of how tenuous the situation can be. They released an update the other week, and they brought it down almost immediately and had more maintenance. And people were wondering, like, what happened? Like, the game was back up and fine. Why did they suddenly take it back down again, do some more maintenance, and then bring it back up a few hours later? I looked into it. I looked into what actually happened, and it turns out that update, they were in such a rush to get the build ready and out the door, they forgot to cook the build without the debug tools. So whenever you're preparing a game like this, you basically, it's called cooking it to prepare for release to make it playable. And you choose different things to include in the game's files. And they put some debug tools in the game in the update after a maintenance cycle, and the tools got out. I seen screenshots of the debug tools on a live client. If you want to know what they are, by the way, they're the developer tools to let you cheat to your heart's content. Specially made tools to allow you to do all the cheats and all the exploits. Perfect.
To become the ultimate overlord yourself in the game.
100%. But the problem is, if you get your hands on this shit, it's useless because they'll know you've used it. They know. Like, you'd be stupid to use it. But it's funny because, my God, they literally left the keys of the castle and just threw them into the game, essentially, and released it. So
could someone have actually accessed it? Was that?
Yeah. They're basically, the game runs on Unity, right? That's the game engine it uses, and there's a number of tools that Unity uses that third parties use to do QA, debugging, things like that. And one of these third party tools is what they found. It was a client for this third party tool running on Unity in the engine, and you can summon it. So whenever you're in game, whenever you're developing a game, you're using debug tools. There's certain actions you can do to summon debug tools. Essentially, like if you know which tools it is, like swipe the top corner, bottom corner, just little common actions. And whoever was using the game just did this because they must have used the same tools elsewhere in another game or another project, and it activated the debug thing, and they could replicate it. I've seen the menus. It's all in Japanese, by the way. The debug stuff's still in Japanese. They didn't translate that. So that's interesting. But yeah, they were in such a rush.
It's funny they did it.
I know, right? Like, that's...
Was it the 12-hour maintenance? Was that the first or second one, the 12 hours?
I'm not sure. It was a few weeks ago at this point.
Yeah, so I'm trying to twig now. Did they do the short maintenance... left that in, then thought, oh crap, let's go 12 hours and make sure that definitely things don't go wrong.
I'm pretty sure that was a lesson they learned afterwards, because you don't want to see your debug tools being posted by your users on Reddit. You know what I mean? Because that's where I've seen this stuff. I was on Reddit of all places. So that stuff is like very not hidden any longer. But yeah, it was their full set of testing tools, and they forgot to take out the build. They put that build on the live branch, essentially. And people were playing it on the live game with God mode, essentially, if they were lucky or smart enough to use the tools. Yeah, if you use those debug tools to do any of the content, you would have done the content, and then they would have had to roll back your account. Like, imagine the headache if you accidentally pressed a few buttons and it came up.
Well, yeah, especially if you can't read Japanese and you just push a random button, you thought, this is pretty cool. What's going on here?
Right.
And then they take it back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have to have your account rolled back or some kind of thing if they suspect that you're using it dodgily. And you imagine the majority of random people finding this would go, "Hello, payday." You know what I mean? The majority, come on, be honest. The majority of people discovering cheat tools in a game will use the cheat tools they find.
100%. Yeah, for sure, they definitely would. Especially, was there a way to add quartz? Was that a thing?
From the menu, I don't think so. You could add all the other currencies. I think that was I'm not sure. I'll have to check again.
Even hell. I think I'll just have 99 million hell, please. That'll be quite handy.
All right, I'll just one-shot all enemies at all times. I'll just select different stuff. Yeah, it's crazy. It's fun and crazy, but it's just dev stuff. It's boring dev shit that genuinely no one gives a crap about. But it's
in the right hands.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to throw it out there. It also means as well that there's a publicly available client version of the game that you can load up that has those dev tools now. Like every APK for games on mobile are archived usually. So if you know which version of the game it was, you can find the APK, and technically those tools would be usable on there. Of course, the game wouldn't be able to be authenticated on the server, so you wouldn't be able to get into your account, but you could still use the debug tools on the game if you can find them. And that's... I'm sure the people that care about that stuff were very happy.
Some people will love that sort of
the
very
data
technical
miners,
aspect of it. Yeah,
all those guys, the engineers who play and figure out...
Just drooling at the thought of it, yeah.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's pay dirt. And I'm happy that the right people got a lead look in. It's nice when you see it behind the curtains. It's not nice for them to do it. It's absolutely scary for them to do it, actually. I can imagine the manager that realized that shit and had to make the call of, oh crap, I have to tell someone we accidentally put this in here to get this reversed. Like, oh, that would be a very awkward conversation.
Yeah, that employee that just left it in there and forgot about it, they must have got an absolute bollocking that night.
Yeah, like sometimes not sometimes, a lot of the time, they'll have like dedicated build engineers whose only responsibility is to organize all the correct files and versions to make builds for different uses. So I hope they don't have a dedicated build engineer, because that's literally the one guy's job. The one thing is to make builds, and then if that's his screw up. Oh my god, that poor guy.
Oh, I just got my quick phone call.
Alrighty. So Nick, this is the end of the episode. Thank you very much for your time here.
Oh, thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Do you have anything you want to promote or say once you have a chance?
Subscribe to my channel, guys. So it's Akatsuki. It's Akatsuki Red Cloud on YouTube. I do also have a Twitch channel under the same name, where I'm just playing Makai Kingdom on that, the PS2 classic. So follow that as well. But just give the videos a watch, and if you enjoy it, please do subscribe.
If you're watching this episode of the podcast on YouTube, you'll find the links in the description. You've been listening to the Makai Sentai Podcast, Episode 3. If you enjoyed the episode, please feel free to like and subscribe. Feel free to comment on the episode and share your own experiences playing Disgaea RPG.